And this is what the Western medical institution really doesn't focus on. The body's natural ability to grow, repair, and replicate itself. Your soft tissues are replenished every 7 years. Your skeletal frame is dissolved and replaced every decade or so. You get a new liver every year. I mean, this is unbelievable when you think about it.
It's a mind-blowing perspective. Paul, you've been at this for 30 plus years, and listening to you talk, the depth that you have explored with this, and also your ability to teach it is terrific.
Thank you.
Let's look at another point in the continuum. Someone that's interested in starting Tai Chi or Qigong. What's your advice to a person at the beginning of their Tai Chi and Qigong journey?
I would say begin. Yes, because a lot of people think about it. I've had numerous people come to me and say, oh, I started Tai Chi like 10 years ago. I did it a couple of times and then I didn't have the time to do it. And then I stopped doing it and now I really regret it and I wish I'd just kept going, you know? And so the biggest thing is making a daily practice in your life, carving out some time. And I know that this absolutely scares people because a daily practice is commitment. If you don't have a daily practice, nothing will grow. Yes? So I look at it this way. If you're going to do 70%, yes, okay, 70% of your output, well, 70% of 7 is 4.9. So that's 5 days a week, not 7 days a week, you see? And so instantly 5 days rather than 7 feels more doable. And then even that in the beginning is difficult. So if you can find 2 or 3 times a week to do 10 or 15 minutes practice. So we're talking about 20, 45 minutes a week to find in 2 or 3 places. Yeah, that's doable for someone to begin. But the real benefits come online when you're doing it daily. And eventually you don't have to worry about it because the practice will form a life of its own. You will practice for a little bit and then you stop practicing and you will notice inside of you, you're not as grounded, you're not as rooted, you're not as calm. You don't make the best decisions. You're more anxious. There's a lot of things that go on that your daily practice is releasing and quenching in your body and in your reality. And so you then see the difference between, oh, when I practice regularly, I'm more like this. And when I don't, I'm more like that. And that encourages people to practice more. And then 3-6 months down the line, you start noticing the benefits. You don't necessarily notice them in the first week or 2. You're just getting your hands in the game, right? After a certain period of time, you start to notice the benefits and you look back. Oh, I used to have that neck issue all the time and now it's intermittent or it's very rare, yes? Or, oh, I used to have bad digestion. My digestion seems better. Yes? There's these benefits that just start creeping into your life.
Start showing up.
They just show up. Because this isn't like, oh, you do this and it fixes that and diddly-dee. I mean, I've seen people overcome really bad illnesses just by doing a very light, regular practice. It's the tipping point, you know? You just do something enough and the balance tips in favor of your health and things start to dissipate. And generally people start to notice this 3-6 months in. A year, 2 years in, they notice a big shift. Yes. But it's a water method, right? So it's a drip of water. And if you have a drip of water every day going into a dish, it doesn't look much in the beginning. But 6 months, a year, 2 years, you start getting a lot more volume building up in that dish. And so this is your daily practice. And I would say it is the hardest thing for people to get off the ground. And one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people stop is because they push themselves too hard in the beginning. They try to do too much in the beginning. And the flip side of that, I teach seminars, right? So I don't see people for a period of time. So I may not see them for some months or half a year or even a year. And then they come back and I go, oh, how was your practice? And they go, oh, well, I didn't practice because I didn't want to do it wrong. And I'm like, oh, well, that was a mistake. Because now I can't correct anything because you don't have a practice, right? If you have a practice, then it can be corrected. Nobody does these things correct. There is no correct. There's improvement. But something my teacher told me many, many years ago, he said, the movements of Qigong and Tai Chi are so well developed that when you do them really badly, you get a positive result. And I went, oh, that's an interesting angle. And that speaks to the fact that we have no idea what's possible if we do it really well. Okay, so we've got this idea in the West, oh, if you do Tai Chi, oh, your balance improves. Really? What you mean, moving slowly improves your balance? Fantastic. But there's a bit more underneath that's going on than just improvement of balance. So we don't really know as a culture, the Western culture doesn't really know what these arts can give you. And so we're looking for superficial results. Oh, a bit of stress relief. Oh, my headaches are less. Yes, things of this nature. And they go, oh, that's a tick the box, you know. But at the end of the day, when you do these arts really well, they have huge benefits. They're life-changing. They transform you from the inside out, yes? Which is radically different to losing a few minor ailments. And so the big thing is establish a practice. And if that means you can only do it on the weekends because you have a really busy work week, then do it on the weekends. And then when you can, draw a little bit of practice in midweek, yes? And slowly over time build it up. Because those that go, well, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, the bulk of those people, they're not there within a few months. Yes, because they go at it so gung-ho that they build internal resistance. Because then every day you get up, you're like, well, I've got to do an hour of Qigong, then I've got to do an hour of Tai Chi, and I've got to do an hour of Bhagwan, and I've got to do an hour of meditation. And that is a very heavy load to carry on a daily basis. Most people can't get there. So what can you do? Most people can find 5-10 minutes to start, a couple of times a week, and then that can slowly evolve. Because when you go, oh, I'm just going to do 5 or 10 minutes, often you do your practice and you go, oh, that was 20 minutes. Because your mind goes inside and you lose the linear time frame. Yes? And this is a very important aspect. When you lose that linear time frame and you get almost lost within the practice, not lost as in you're not present, you're totally present to what you're doing, but lost in the sense of the outside world has no influence over you in this moment because you are totally inside yourself and you're in your practice. And then you come out of that practice and you're like, oh, that was a good practice. But the intent was just to do a short practice. And you end up doing a longer and deeper practice. Let your body do it. Yes? Don't force it.
All right, Paul, I'd like now to turn to your second book, co-authored with Master Bruce Francis. And it is provocatively titled Heaven and Earth Qigong, Heal Your Body and Awaken Your Qi. So that leads to a question. Well, how does Heaven and Earth Qigong heal your body?
Well, how does it not heal your body if you do it well, is the question. Because Heaven and Earth, in the hierarchy of the neigong, Heaven and Earth is in the middle point. Yes? It's not the most advanced and it's not the most beginning. It is possible for people to start with Heaven and Earth because the choreography is simple, but it is internally very complex and it has many layers of neigong. And all of those layers of neigong affect the systems and subsystems of your body, from the fascia, the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, the organs, the blood vessels, everything inside of you. Your digestion, your nervous system, your cerebral spinal system. I mean, all of these things are exercised with the neigong material within Heaven and Earth. And therefore, it is the bridge between the beginning and the advanced material. And you cannot get into advanced neigong without going through the material that is within Heaven and Earth. So it's crucial. And it's the first of the neigongs to really show the depth of neigong available within internal exercise. When you start going through those layers of neigong and you start hitting those various layers of your body, your physicality, yes? From your skin through to the joints and through to your organs and through to the fluid flows and through to the chi flows of the body. When you go through those, you are going to find a lot of your body is not functioning well. There are multiple blockages. There's a lot of residual tension and trauma in the body. And the process of learning the neigong wakens up and releases all of that negative residue in your system. It replenishes the chi flows, and it's the chi that tells the body how to function. And so the body's functioning increases dramatically through that process. And so it's a method of releasing what is stuck, bound in your system. What is damaged becomes healed. You're good with anatomy and physiology, I know that. But it's like your soft tissues are replenished every 7 years. Your skeletal frame is dissolved and replaced every decade or so. You get a new liver every year. I mean, this is unbelievable when you think about it, because we see the body as a unit and this thing, right? But underneath, everything is constantly changing and repairing. So if you do neigong, something deep like Heaven and Earth, for a period of 7 or 10 years, you are regrowing a new body as you do your neigong, yes? So from my soft tissues, I'm on my 6th neigong body. I've nearly completed my 4th skeletal frame. And I've had about 38, well, probably 40 livers by now.
It's a mind-blowing perspective.
And this is what the Western medical institution really doesn't focus on. The body's natural ability to grow, repair, and replicate itself over time. And if you have really good chi flows in the body and you have a very soft, supple body, a very relaxed and released body, that repair and growth is going to be better. And I know that my body works better now than it did in its early 20s. So I'm very happy with my latest version, but I look forward to the next one.
You know, one of the most satisfying aspects of teaching this material for me is to watch students gain mobility as they age, gain function as they age through regular practice of Tai Chi and Qigong. And that, that's contrary to the Western physiology model of age and decline. Nobody gets out of this life alive, but the ability to maintain mobility and function and vibrancy later in life, I sure see it in Tai Chi and Qigong students.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. And from the Western perspective, by the time you're in your mid-20s, you're already teetering on the point of decline. Yes? And yeah, I've repeatedly seen people in their late years, over 70, and sometimes well over 70, with strength, power, vigor, presence, and vitality that these last generations are struggling to show in their early years. So when we're looking at Heaven and Earth in particular, Heaven and Earth covers, or can cover, if you do the work and you put in the time and you learn the material and you put it inside of your movement, the first 12 neigong and some of the aspects of the later neigong. There's 16 neigong. And if you look at the first half a dozen to 8, these are basically in all the various neigong to varying degrees. And then once you get past the first 8 of the neigong, you get into more interesting and deeper material. But the first 12 are what we call the preparatory stages. So this includes breathing, alignments, biomechanical alignments that allow your body to function and the flow of qi to pass through the body efficiently. Yes? And then we have things like feeling, moving, and transforming internal energies. And this is normally done on the ascending, descending, and connecting channels of the body. And there's bending and stretching the soft tissues along the yang and yin pathways, which includes twisting the tissues, and it includes the spiraling of the soft tissues. And then, of course, we have things like open and closing all of the body's joints, cavities, soft tissues, subtle energy anatomy, organs, and energy centers. And then we move into realms of dissolving all of the blockages out of the body. And then, of course, you've got things like the spiraling energy currents, jumping qi at any part of the body at will. I mean, there are many, many aspects of neigong, and they are all systematically worked and integrated within the intermediate and advanced neigong. And then there's the working with the left and the right and the central channels. And if we look at the energetic anatomy a little bit, when a fetus grows in the womb, when the sperm and the egg connect, they generate a central channel, which then splits into the left and the right, which then creates a web of thousands of channels, and the flesh of the fetus and the baby grows on that energetic frame. And then you're born into this world. And then when you die, that energy collapses back into the central channel, and the central channel is the last thing to remain alive within a body, and then it goes into nothingness or emptiness. And then the body starts to decay. It takes about 3 days for the energy of the body to collapse, and then the body decays quickly. And so the energy of the body is telling the body how to function. And all of these neigong are there to increase the strength and flow of qi in the body. And the strength and the flow of qi tells the body how to function. And so when it's weak, you are weak. When your qi is strong, you are strong. And your body functions well. And so Heaven and Earth encompasses, or has the potential to encompass, a lot of this work, including work with the lower dantian. And the lower dantian is where all the body's energy and all the physicality of the body connect. So the lower dantian becomes the central control mechanism for your chi and your physicality, your health, your vitality. And Heaven and Earth is a foray into those realms.
You know, Paul, that leads me to look ahead to October 16 through 19th, where you will be here in Chicago to lead a seminar on Heaven and Earth Qigong. What do you have in store for us, Paul?
Well, the entirety of Heaven and Earth, obviously. The depth of this work is impressive, to say the least. And therefore, when I come to Chicago, we can't possibly do the whole gamut of the Heaven and Earth, or at least what I know of it. Yes. So we're going to be looking at a specific aspect of the work. Now, in the beginning, when you're using the body, you're trying to get your soft tissues to completely release, to become incredibly soft, to become relaxed, and to get rid of this tension-based reciprocal inhibition movement that the West is really focused upon. And get into this aspect of bend and stretch, where all the body's soft tissues are activated through a bending, storing, and stretching, releasing, and opening phase. And this is the basic motion of how you move in Qigong. So this is the base level, yes? But then when you look at the soft tissues, there are very different soft tissues in the body. The fascia is very different to the muscles. The muscles are very different to the tendons. The tendons are very different to the ligaments. And they do different things in the body. And so we are going to peel back the layers and look directly into the different layers of the soft tissues and what their function is, how you use them, how you engage them, and then how you get them to unify into one piece.
Very exciting. So it sounds like we have the exploration of some depth inside the two movements. But how about for people that are new to Heaven and Earth Qigong? Is this a workshop for beginners as well?
Well, this is the nature of the beast. Even if people have been doing Qigong for 10 years, let's say you have a group of people that have Qigong for 10 years under their belt, you look at them and they're all very different and they're all doing different things. Because the time frame doesn't tell you if a person has it in their body or not. If someone has really practiced well for 10 years, then they're going to have a lot more than someone that's just done it superficially, or you would think. But then some people just have a natural talent and they have a natural affinity to it and they get through the material really super fast. So in all these workshops, I always start at the beginning and I calibrate to the people in the room. And if you remember that circular nature of learning, so if someone's been practicing Heaven and Earth for 20 years, I'm still starting them at the first point, because as we go through the basic form, they will find little component pieces that are not being done well, and they can fix those, which will allow them to advance further. And so it's always for beginners, in the sense that beginners can come in the room, they will learn the basic form, and I will take them as far as they personally can go with that internal material. But there is always work with the structure. There is always work with the internal flow, yes? And then how much of each of that depends on who's in the room and what those people are ready for. People have different learning curves and they come in with different backgrounds. Some people have a natural affinity to the material. Some people come in, they don't seem to be doing very much, and then suddenly they take off. And some people come in, they take off immediately, they plateau for a while. So you get all these variants. But one of the things about this work is it's not intellectual, it's not metaphorical, it's physical, it's in the flesh. So when I'm teaching something about, oh, the fascia will do this, And I'm always open to people putting their hands on my body so they can verify, yeah, that's happening under the skin. It's not an idea of. It's a physical reality. Now, in the West, we have been educated under the Western model, and the Western model doesn't think that you can do these things. And I know this because I've had many, many medical professionals, doctors, nurses, whatever, and they challenge you, or me. They challenge the ideas, the concepts, and the physical reality. And so the way around that is put your hands on my body. If I say I can lengthen my spine at will, check me, yes? Put your hands on in between the spinal processes, and can you feel them now extending and opening up that internal space? And then that allows them to accept these foreign concepts. It's the hands-on work that really gets them over all of these things. On video, there's a lot of trickery that can be done. But in the flesh, when people put their hands on your body, if you make a statement that you can do something, you can manifest a particular motion at a particular depth in a particular area or layer of the body, when people put their hands on your body, you can't fool them because they can feel, is that happening or is it not happening? And so coming in the door, even as a beginner, it can really jumpstart your training because now it's not a, oh, well, you know, it's a concept or it's a metaphor. No, it's a physical reality. And if somebody can do it and then they can teach me to do it, I can do it myself. And this is how it has passed through the ages for thousands of years. Yes. In the room, hands-on, no ambiguity. That is or it isn't happening. So I invite people. Come to the class. If I say something, here you go, put your hands on. Can you feel that? And then going through a series of exercises so that they can actually grab that themselves. Because it's one thing if a particular individual can do it, maybe there's some kind of genius or they have a particular ability. But we're talking about passing this from teacher to student to anyone that walks through the door, not just the specially talented.
And for those that are interested in more information about the workshop or to register, you can go to our website, www.chicagotaichi.org. Paul, I'd like now to jump to your current business, the Tai Chi space. What are you offering and how can folks learn more?
My main school is in London. I also have a group of instructors that run workshops in London in the same space when I'm not there through the rest of the year to keep the momentum going. And we have a group of instructors that are affiliated with us and they operate in various places. So we have a bunch of opportunities there. And now I'm living in California. Obviously, we're running classes in California, retreats here. And then I also do a lot of online streams. And these are pre-recorded, systematic build classes that develop over periods of 3 months or 6 month blocks where you go into specific practices, and this is all the nuts and bolts and how they come together in a systematic linear path through the material. And that work is there to allow people to begin their practice from anywhere. It allows them to know what the material is. And then if they choose to come in the room, they will get a lot more from being in the room because now I don't have to teach them the very basics. Now I can bounce off of whatever level they're at and add pieces to fill in the gaps and move them forward.
Paul, we're just about out of time. Before we wrap, another reminder about the upcoming Chicago workshop, October 16 to 19, right here at Chicago Tai Chi in the heart of the city. It's also available live online.
Some of the material I'm going to present in Chicago will be the first time that I have taught this particular aspect. I like to develop things over time, and when I'm really comfortable in my own body with that material, then I will open up that specific. And I feel I've just got to a certain point with this layering of the soft tissues, and therefore this will be on the table. Chris is going to be there. Chris has just got his level 6 in Heaven and Earth.
Very excited about that, Paul. Before we wrap up, Paul, if there's one point you can leave our audience with about what you teach, about its potential for their lives, what would that point be?
This material is very rare. This is a pure stream of teaching that has come down through the ages unbroken. It's an integrated system that spans a lot of different areas, and as your life changes, you can tune your practice according to your new wants and needs. And the other thing is this: Water Method Taoism is a pragmatic system. It's how you develop the physical body, the energy, the emotions, the mind, and the spirit of a human being. Nothing is done through thought alone. Thinking is very nice, visualizing is very nice, but it won't actually get you to the point where you develop yourself on a deep level. So, if you're interested, this is a very deep, old healing system that can deal with the physical body, emotional traumas, and the nonsense of the mind. If you want to get something from this work, you have to engage with a physical practice.
Paul, this has been great. Thank you. I'm grateful for your time and for your insight. And I look forward to welcoming you in Chicago. With that, we'll close. Paul Cavell, good day.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to Chicago.